The New Jersey Open Public Meetings Law was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice of and to attend the meetings of public bodies at which any business affecting the interest is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the provisions of this act, the Belvidere Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be published by having the date, time, and place thereof posted with the Star Ledger, the Express Times, and submitted to the town clerk of the town of Belvidere on January 7th, 2019. Please stand for the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mr. Blum? Mrs. Bikina?
Here.
Mrs. Constantino?
Here.
Dr. Zeppet?
Here.
Mr. Labar?
Here.
Mr. Lucas?
Here.
Mr. Matlock?
Here.
Mrs. Pell?
Here.
Mr. Smith? Mrs. Steffen?
Yeah.
Mrs. Williams. At this point, I'd like to swear in our newest board member as well as renew 3 other board members. So if Mrs. Bikina, Mrs. Costantino, Mrs. Scott, and Mrs. Pell could please read after me. I state your name.
I, Michelle Bikina,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and that I will bear true faith and allegiance
And that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the same
to the same,
and to the governments established
and the government
established
in the United States and this state
in the United States and this state,
under the authority of the people,
under the authority of the people,
so help me God.
so help me God.
I state your name.
I, Michelle
Catherine
Bikina,
Powell,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I possess the qualifications
that I possess the qualifications
prescribed by law
prescribed by law
for the office of member of the Board of Education,
of member of the Board of Education,
and that I am not disqualified
and that I am not disqualified
as a voter pursuant to
as a voter pursuant to
RS 19-4-1,
RS 19-4-1,
nor disqualified due to conviction of a crime
nor disqualified due to conviction of a crime
or offense listed in NJS 18A 12-1,
or offense listed in NJS 18A 12-1,
and that I will faithfully, impartially, and justly
and that I will faithfully, impartially, and justly
perform all duties of that office
perform all duties of that office
according to the best of my ability,
according to the best of my ability,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Thank you very much. You guys did well.
Congratulations.
You gotta sign, right? If you want to-
Please sign that and then pass it back.
Gotta sign?
And then, put your name in there.
At this time, I would like to take nominations for the position of president for the 2020 school year.
I nominate Mary Ann.
Any others? Can I have a motion to close the nominations?
So moved.
All in favor of Mrs. Steffen for president?
Aye.
President presides.
Oh, you're done now, right?
I'm done.
Give her the gavel. She likes the gavel.
Likes it.
She
I
likes
can't
the
do this
gavel.
without the gavel. That's the only perk I get, is the pay, so.
Yeah, and you gotta sign all this stuff too today.
This chair is low.
Excellent, thanks.
Got it?
All right, so now, okay, we need nominations for the office of vice president. Anybody got a nomination?
I'll nominate Catherine Powell. Second?
I would nominate Brian Stewart.
I would
I
second
would
that.
second that.
Any other nominations? Okay. What do we do now?
Vote?
We vote. Michelle, vote.
I'll read your name and you can vote for one of the other candidates. Michelle Lupino,
Ryan Smith.
Danielle Costantino,
Catherine Powell.
Dr. Zuppeth,
Ryan Smith.
Mr. Labar,
Brian Smith.
Mr. Lucas,
Brian Smith.
Mr. Matlock,
Brian Smith.
Mrs. Pell,
I don't think it matters.
Mrs. Steffen,
Brian Smith.
Mrs. Scott, And Mr. Smith becomes the vice president.
Oh, I'd be so happy to hear that.
Maybe we'll do that.
He actually will, I talked to him. Okay, what do we do now? So now we're gonna do the,
You don't have to do that right now, but maybe.
yeah,
let's
for
talk about-
committee appointments. I stopped complaining about this about 3 years ago because I got nowhere. And I always said we needed to shake up the committees, and people have been on them for too long, and we need to move everybody around. So I would like, if everybody could email me what committees they would like to be on, and then we'll look and we'll see who's gonna be where. And I would feel like I would be disrespectful to myself if I put everybody back where they were. I really think we need to do a throw the cards up in here and see where they fall. So, please email me, and then hopefully by the next board meeting, I'll have everybody's committee assignments taken care of. All right? Okay, so now we're gonna do the agenda for reorganization. We're gonna, I need a motion and a second for items 1 through 5.
Make a motion.
Second.
Sean, is this a roll call or is this a,
Any discussion?
oh, any discussion? I forgot. Sorry. No discussion? Okay, now, Sean.
Mrs. Pacino?
Yes.
Mrs. Constantino? Dr. Zuppert?
Yes.
Mr. LeBar?
Yes.
Mr. Lucas?
Yes.
Mr. Matlock?
Yes.
Mrs. Pell? Yes. Mr. Smith? I'm sorry, Mrs. Steffen?
Yes.
And Mrs. Scott?
Okay, so now we're going to our regular agenda. So is there anybody for public participation? Judy, you have anything?
Good evening, Judy Black, Belvidere Education Association. I just want to talk a little bit about our health care. On February 1st, 2019, the board unilaterally changed our health insurance from Horizon Blue Cross Blue Shield to AmeriHealth. Our position then, and still, was that AmeriHealth was not equal or better to Horizon, as we are guaranteed by our contract. We felt that due to the unique geographical location of Belvidere and the fact that roughly 1/3 of our staff live in Pennsylvania, the change to AmeriHealth would negatively affect the financial and personal welfare of our families and us. On April 2nd, 2019, the Public Employees Regulatory Commission, otherwise known as PERC, in a 46-page document, directed the Belvidere Board of Education to establish and fund an interim program guaranteeing that unit members and/or their covered dependents may avail themselves of funds to pay upfront costs of medical care and any additional costs of medical treatment that would have been covered under the Horizon Plan, and to negotiate with the association regarding the procedures for implementing the fund and processing claims. Today, it is more than 9 months since PERC ordered the district to pay our upfront costs for medical care that would have been covered by Horizon. We met one time, May 22nd, 2019, to negotiate. On September 9th, in lieu of arbitration, the Belvidere Board of Education and Belvidere Education Association came to an agreement that requires the district to establish a mechanism that will provide immediate payment to a provider that requires upfront payment before treatment. That mechanism to be established within 30 days of the execution of this agreement. The agreement is signed and dated September 25th, 2019. The board directed that the district's administrative board and/or board council take the necessary action to effectuate the terms of the settlement agreement. Today, it is 105 days since the agreement was executed. There's no mechanism available to pay upfront costs that would have been paid under Horizon. We are having to delay or forgo medical care, and it is affecting our families, our students, our coworkers, as well as ourselves. Thank you.
Want to comment on the email or?
Good. Judy, I am in receipt of your email. I got it on Friday. Because of not being the president of the board, I didn't want to answer you, so I will answer you within the next day or so, okay?
I know you were.
Yeah, it was in flux, so I didn't feel like it was my responsibility. I don't want to take that responsibility if it was going to be somebody else's. You did, and I knew tonight could change everything, so I didn't want to jump in for somebody else's shoes. But I will answer you within the next day or so. Anybody else for public participation?
Hi, I'm Greta Marie Scott. I've been teaching here for 16 years, special education mainly. My master's is in applied behavior analysis, so I've been doing those services for several years now with our younger severe population. Love it. Love being a member of the Belvidere community. Just to kind of piggyback off of Judy as an example, and I'm very nervous. I live in Pennsylvania, and I have a 12-minute commute. I'm a runner. I run from here to my house in Mount Bethel, so it's a close commute. I have 2 children at home, under 6 and under, who both have special needs. Under Horizon, my medical care, my husband's medical care, and their medical care was not as big as a stressor it is under AmeriHealth. My daughter at this point does have some more significant needs than my son, and under Horizon, she's older, I had a lot of service opportunities available to her. Since under AmeriHealth, I've had to change a lot of those providers, and luckily they've been decent, but most of them are in New Jersey or in Philadelphia where we commute to for those services. One of my fears, one of my stresses, as all of you who have children, what's the next thing? What's the next diagnosis? What's the next specialist we need to see? And a lot of times I'll look for a AmeriHealth provider, says it's there, call them up. No, we don't take AmeriHealth. Back to square one, I'm back to looking for meeting my kids. Like I said, I love being here. These kids are like my second family. But at home, it has become very stressful. And initially, services were not being paid for under AmeriHealth as they were under Horizon. We kind of grieved that. That was kind of resolved, but it was settled in October, and just over Christmas break, I got one of the last payments. So that's just like a personal experience. I'd be more than happy to answer any questions, but I am feeling the change of the insurance personally as well.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Chris Coyle, history teacher at Belvidere High School, year 18. My experience with AmeriHealth over the last year has come in what I've been thinking about it today, and what I would say, it's come in really 3 steps. The first step of the process, which I go along with Greta Marie, is very tiring, is every time I call somebody to go, I have to go round and round with them until I finally realize they think I'm on welfare. The last place I called, they said, "We're sorry, you need to go to your home state for assistance." I said, "I'm not on assistance, I work." The last place that I did that to, that wasn't still enough. I had to physically drive to the building, take the card out of the wallet and show that to them. That leads us to step 2. The places just aren't as close as what they used to be. So the drive to show my card, not even to get it done, because that we're just scheduling yet. I had to physically drive to the place to show them the card. To go to these places, because they're no longer as close as what they used to be, I have to, as Mr. Kruber can attest to, I have to take off 3 days in the next month and a half to be able to get these things done, because they're no longer as close as what they used to be. That's a tax on what I do here on a daily basis throughout the 184 days that we're here during the year. The third step, certainly, that this applies to and that I've dealt with in this process is once you've gone and you've received some sort of health care from them, it's then fighting with the company. And for me, that's one thing. The 3 hours I spent with them on the phone the week before Christmas, that's a drain after work, yes, number one. Coming home, getting a $1,400 bill from them, fighting that's another drain. But I still haven't even got it solved from that week about logging in. And I'm trying to log in for myself, my wife, and my daughter, who I take care of all of their accounts. And that's really the last part. While the AmeriHealth coverage covers, I think, 9 counties in Pennsylvania, Pennsylvania has 67 counties. It doesn't take I can look out my window and see one of the counties that's not in. Plenty of us live in a county that's not in. That means that you often find yourselves outside that area. My daughter's 19. She's going to be on her own at times. Was out in Pittsburgh. That's still Pennsylvania in the fall. She got bit by a dog. She couldn't just naturally run off to someplace because you got to know where it actually takes the health care. And there's no ready care available in where I live, let alone in Pittsburgh. So it's about finding a hospital. it's just a very tiring process. Thank you.
I think I'm the last one. I don't know, maybe. Anyway, first of all, this stack of papers right here, I'm pretty conscientious about where we go to the doctors and what we do, and I live in Warren County, New Jersey. I didn't say my name, Debbie Koch, by the way. I live right here in Warren County. And every doctor that we see is in AmeriHealth plan. But what is kind of funny is that AmeriHealth isn't even covering the doctors in their plan. I have in front of me $1,335 worth of denials from AmeriHealth where I've paid my copay, and they're saying that we still are going to owe additional money. And sometimes my husband has just paid them because now the doctor sends a bill, and I just found these last night, or I would be turning them in. But we don't want it to affect our credit because it'll go on your credit. On top of that, I'm going to tell you a pretty funny story. Right around homecoming this year, October, my son was waiting for his bus at Harmony School to leave school, and he tripped and fell and hit the wall and scraped his face all up and had a concussion. It was immediately evident that he had a concussion, and I left here and went to Harmony. It was after school hours. Went to Harmony, and Jamie Kowalski, the nurse there, said to me, you really need to take him to the doctor right now. Our concussion specialist is Dr. Avalon, who was also Belvidere's concussion specialist. I would recommend that you take him there right now. Let me call them. So she called them, and they said they would not see him because they wouldn't take our AmeriHealth insurance, and they're in St. Luke's, which is pretty funny. So we went to the ER. And this week now, I've been fighting with AmeriHealth over his ER charge for a concussion. I don't know what I was supposed to do there. We paid our copay, and now they want to go after Harmony School. Wouldn't that be kind of funny? Because they're saying that it would be their responsibility. And, Horizon would have paid that bill. It would just be done and taken care of. And, when you think about our staff having to take off just to establish themselves at a doctor's office where they wouldn't have had to do that before. That's not economical for our district as well. Now you're paying a sub, and now we're losing student contact time to be able to go establish with a doctor. We have a number of staff members who aren't even getting yearly exams, mammograms, things like that, because their previous doctor wasn't in the plan. Now we have some that have established with new doctors. They go to establish with new doctors in AmeriHealth, and just before Christmas they found out that there are new doctors. Several of them went to the same one, because when you find one, it's like gold. Now it's not in the plan anymore. So again, it's really, kind of a very taxing thing on all of us. So I hope that you guys would consider that. I think that's all I have. It's enough. Anyway, thank you.
Anybody else?
My name is Sharon Tomanek, a Spanish teacher, about 16 years as well. I was not planning on talking tonight. I was just coming to support my coworkers, but just very briefly, I have also had to take time off of work to submit paperwork. This has been a very overwhelming process for me and my family, emotionally, financially. I have one son. I am the head of the household, but having hard times, but providing for my whole family. And just want to say it's been very difficult. Yeah.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay, I guess we'll close public participation. Correspondence?
We have one letter. I told Shelley I would read it since it was addressed to me. Dear Mr. Kruba, please accept this letter as formal notification that I am resigning from my position as engineering teacher with Belvidere High School. Thank you so much for the opportunity to work in this position for the past 8 years. I've greatly enjoyed and appreciated the opportunities I've had to grow as a teacher, be a part of creating a great curriculum, and work with my fellow colleagues, which I will certainly take with me throughout my career. Thankful, Laura Kraus. And that is on our add-ons. So I just want to read that.
This is on March 6th. Okay. Any other correspondence?
That's it.
Superintendent's report.
I'll try to keep it brief. I know he's not going to keep my reports brief. Would like to take a moment to announce our Teachers of the Year for the high school and for Belvidere Elementary School. Belvidere Elementary School Teacher of the Year this year is Mr. Aaron Feldman, who currently is teaching about 10 different things, focusing on technology, but he's teaching quite a few things. Our educational services provider for the year is Ms. Dina Kozlowski, who is our speech teacher. Belvidere High School, our Teacher of the Year this year is Courtney Kopf, one of our science teachers. And our educational service provider is Laura Svensson, our guidance counselor. So we congratulate them. We're excited for them to go through the process of maybe possibly following Ms. Koch as Warren County Teacher of the Year. It'd be great to have back-to-back Teachers of the Year, and certainly we're going to have them at a future board meeting to recognize their accomplishments. One conversation that we've had a few times, and I emailed Doc Zeppeth earlier late last week, finally got some update on the energy audit that we've been trying to get together. Mr. Barrick had received had been going back and forth with the state, and we know for sure they're going to do it in the spring. Mr. Barrick has a conference call scheduled, I think it's tomorrow or Friday, with the state to start the process, to outline the program, what's going to happen, what Belvidere needs to do, what we need to show, and get all that going. So we're hoping by the middle of spring we'll have that energy audit done and get the findings hopefully back in if possible. But I know it took a lot of time to get it going. But Mr. Barrick was excited when he finally got the go-ahead that we're going to get that done. Just like to comment real quick since last we met. The holiday season was a great last week of school. It's always a great time around here with visits from Santa and concerts and a lot of great things going on. Just a great way to end the calendar year. It was just walking around and seeing the kids. Did miss Mr. Staples' holiday suits that he likes to wear. Mr. Caribbeans wasn't quite dressed up, but that's okay. But overall, it was a great finish to the year. On the 23rd, the Belvidere is going to be hosting a standards-based report card workshop. Dr. Zwicky from Mount Olive and from Rutgers will be here to present. We're excited about that. We have right now 7 different districts that are going to be sending some folks over. So we're really looking forward to that as we start to talk about standards-based report cards and the impact. You'll see on the add-on sheet, I'll just answer it now, Mary Ann, because I know you love when we send so many people to the group.
Yeah, hello.
But Texpo going to Atlantic City, this is our tech committee, and we've met a few times, we've discussed about the idea of us going together. There's a lot of workshops this year. We want to focus on what we have and how to better use it and provide better for our students. So we thought it'd be an interesting way to send quite a few folks. So that's the list. And the last thing I just want to mention is we had talked about a board retreat, and now that we have the new board members who have come in over the last couple of months here, I'd like to float out, get some dates out by email over the weekend and commit to that. Really our 2 best options I talked about on the testing report, the same Dr. Zwicky would come in and run the workshop, or having school boards come in. Dr. Zwicky would charge a fee, school boards wouldn't. School boards is harder to schedule, where he's pretty readily available. So I'm going to shoot that email out over the weekend. Please respond, some dates that would work and wouldn't work. Would you prefer to do it before, at a meeting?
Should we just should we decide who we're going to hire?
Could certainly do that, yeah.
And then find out what dates they're available?
Yep.
And then see what dates we can meet?
We can do that, yeah.
I really recommend this, guys. I think we need to do this sooner than later. It's going to give the board a direction on where to go.
Great. Okay, so
I just think that might be a quicker way to do it.
I'll get some information out to everybody on Friday.
Okay, good. Thanks.
That's all I have.
Anybody have anything for Chris right now?
I have 2 questions. One, we agreed to have St. Luke's provide athletic training.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't they tell us that they were going to redo our weight room for us?
I know they said that they were going to make a donation. I don't know if redo was the exact word.
When?
I'll follow up with Chris on that. I'd have to check and see if they did.
I just know that
Yeah, I can follow up on that.
the coaches were talking, or the athletic director went to the coaches and said, we need to do a fundraiser to do the weight room. And one of the coaches said, well, isn't St. Luke supposed to do that? And I think the answer is yes, so I'm just wondering when that'll happen.
Okay, I will look into that.
And the second thing I had was, I've questioned about, I don't know how many times, at the meetings about grant writing.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, we've talked about it, and I guess Mr. Zetterstrom asked my son if he would do grant writing. And I just questioned him tonight as, how are you doing with it?
Yeah.
Well, he said, I'm having a hard time with it. He said, and there's nobody that helps me with it. He said, I just wondered if there's anyone that we have that has training in that could actually give him a hand with it.
We do, we have two people. We have, I know we sent Ms. Gayton and Ms. Gately for training, so you can reach out to them, and I'll follow up with them tomorrow as well.
All right, thank you.
Mhm.
Anybody else? No? Okay, move along. I have a motion and a second for policy items 1, do we have add-ons for this one? No.
No.
1 through 7.
Make a motion.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? No? All in favor? Aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, education. 11 is an add-on. Okay, education, I need a motion and a second for 8 through, oh, there's 11's already on here, but there's more to 11. That's what we're adding on. So it's 8 through 11 with the additions to 11 from the sheet.
It's 8 through 12,
I don't have a 12.
right, 12, district?
Hang on right here.
Oh, yeah, 12, sorry. 8 through 12, my mistake. These still add into 11.
Hang on, this addition on here.
Yeah, and I just said 12. Yeah. No, those 12s are personnel.
Right, 12A through 12C will be personnel.
Yeah.
It's just that other 12. All right, you ready? It's 8 through 12 with an additions to 11.
Make a motion.
Second? Go ahead, John, you got a second? Second. Okay. All in favor? Or no, any discussions? I'm sorry, I always forget that one.
Yes, number 8, on the improved change use of educational space, it says that we will go to the executive county superintendent for the change. Do we also have to go to the state for that, or is it just county?
She acts as a conduit to the state.
Anybody else have any?
So it would be the whole school and the high school, like all special services for,
It's just two.
No.
Just the two
Just
rooms,
two
rooms
rooms.
104 and 105.
okay,
So, and those are the rooms we talked about
but it would be
during.
for pre-K through
Mhm.
K-12,
Correct.
and it'd be located in the high school.
Correct.
Just wanted to get understanding.
Yeah, correct.
Anybody else? I have a question on 9 and 10, tuition students.
They are DIFAS placements in our vicinity, but the existing school district from where their resident district has to they send them to us through a tuition contract.
Oh, good, okay.
So they're students coming in.
Gotcha. Any other questions? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Okay. Yeah,
12A through 12.
there's only personnel on the add-on. That's 12A and 12B. Do I have a motion? Oh, no, there's some on the back, sorry. Yeah, 12C on the back. Do I have a motion and a second?
Motion?
Second.
Okay, any discussion?
Would like to thank Mrs. Cross for her 8 years of service. She's done a nice job. She will be greatly missed. I believe she's going back to her alma mater to go teach there. High school. So, she'll be missed. She's done a nice
Yeah,
job.
she will, I like that. No questions? All in favor? Aye.
Roll call?
Oh, roll call,
Mrs.
sorry.
Medina?
Yes.
Mrs. Constantino? Yes. Dr. Suppitt?
Yes.
Mr. LeBar?
Yes.
Mr. Lucas? Yes. Mr. Matlock?
Yes.
Mrs. Pell?
Yes.
Mrs. Stefan?
Yes.
And Mrs. Scott?
Okay, motion and a second for business. We have just one item, 13.
Motion?
Second.
Any discussion? No? All in favor? Aye?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay. Continuing business.
If I could throw one thing on continuing business.
Absolutely.
At the last meeting, the December meeting, Mrs. Williams asked about the possibility of consolidating our cafeteria services.
Yep.
I did meet this morning with the CSAs from White and Hope, who were also in agreement to explore that possibility. So we are gonna take a good look at that and see if by combining our services for cafeteria that we can possibly get a better bid, get a different company and whatever. So we are looking into that.
Okay, good.
And all in agreement. So I will update the board as that process comes to fruition.
I'd also like to add that we are scheduling a food service meeting to review with the students as well as some teachers and staff, and that Mrs. Williams has offered to be the board representative for that. And we're
Okay.
working to schedule a date mid-January to go over the other concerns that were discussed.
Perfect. Anything else under continuing? I think I had some notes from last time. Mr. Blum had talked about last time, student liaison to the town council. I don't know if we've done anything about that.
We can tell.
We also had Mrs. Stokes who mentioned about an open house at the high school, similar to what Warren Tech does. I don't know if we've looked into that.
We talked about that, yeah. Yeah, I gotta look into exactly which
Okay.
one she was talking about. I think for parents, I think she was speaking of, I gotta look into that.
Yeah, I think for parents and students, but
Yeah.
for
We had
parents
the
to bring
students-
their students. is
Yeah, we
what
did
I
have the
was thinking.
students here at the end of, well, right before Christmas break. And then we are gonna have each sending district send their kids individually later in the spring to do a shadowing with the freshmen, so. But we have to do something for the parents.
Yeah. Any other continuing business?
Would have been a good topic for instructional council.
Yeah, I know, it was on my notes for this. What do you want me to do? I'll get better as we go, I promise.
My neighbor.
New business.
You wanna talk about the budget calendar?
In your packet was the 2020-21 budget calendar. We've started already with the forecasting and the preliminary. We've also met a couple times with finance to go over facilities projects that we're looking at. So just keep tabs on the calendar, and I think that we don't plan to present to the full board till later in February, but the finance committee will be working along the way.
What were the facilities projects again?
That we discussed in the finance meeting.
Yeah, the one was the,
I don't have my notes
Okay.
on all that we
I know
discussed
the
there,
one
but
is the press box.
Yeah.
I
Right.
know that's one.
we
Yeah.
have a conference call tomorrow scheduled on that. We're still working on what our options are.
Mhm.
There were several. I can try to get notes to you at some point.
And we don't have anything on the elementary school gym?
What would you like to do to it?
I just know there's a lot of complaints about the floor. Some people have complained about the ceiling. I don't know if there's any validity to that at all.
I don't know if I've heard either of those complaints.
The floor in what aspect? The floor,
The floor being so hard, I guess, on the kids for the sports.
oh,
And then there's no seating, like when anybody comes, I mean, I know we have some chairs that come out, but there's no seating, so. And then how are we making with progress with utilizing the Third Street gym?
we can use the Third Street gym, but it's not well, actually wouldn't be bad for the younger
I
kids
know we
because
talked
it's a
about-
7-foot rim. It's not, you can't move it up and down.
That's
so-
why we were gonna
yeah.
move the cheerleaders and the,
Mhm.
track and field
Yeah.
over to Third Street. And then this way it would open up the elementary school gym more for basketball for the right height.
I think that
for
they
the
were
groups.
scheduled at this point per the athletic director, that we didn't have a conflict. Everybody was fitting into the time that they needed at this point in time. If they wanted
I'd given
additional
direction to
time.
Mr. Bartow to open up Third Street for those,
Yeah,
that availability, so.
absolutely, I mean, I've just,
Yeah.
I haven't.
Just no one had grabbed on to needing additional time. I don't believe that he had
No one
requested.
grabbed on to needing additional time or anything? With all the conflicts that people have complained about? No one
I
grabbed
don't-
onto that? Okay.
He
I'll follow
has
up
a
with him.
pretty
I'll ask
good
him tomorrow
schedule
morning.
going. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'll ask him
who's-
tomorrow morning if
Because
he's had reason.
we can utilize the space, I mean,
You
we're
can
paying
utilize the
for it.
space, yeah.
So let's.
Right, we
you
need a
know, let's
custodian
utilize
there
it.
then,
Yeah.
when somebody's gonna be
Yes.
operating, and there's not one there generally in the evenings.
Well, we talked about having the guy come, what's his name? I'm sorry, I don't know his name. About at the elementary school. We talked about having him go over.
Alex.
We talked about having
Yes.
somebody come at some point, but they have a cleaning schedule in the afternoon, so to just go be in that building just to have it open, we'd have to have a specific need.
I'll follow with Mr. Bartow tomorrow, see if he's had any requests for it, just to get a sense of if there's been any, if he's heard any issues with regards to availability.
Mhm.
He has not mentioned it to me, but nor have I specifically asked him either, so I'll find that out tomorrow.
Okay.
I'll follow up on
Anybody else have any new business?
I have one thing for, the athletics. Has anybody seen that track that we have out?
Yeah, that was one of the things we did discuss in facilities, by the way.
That thing needs, if we're gonna keep that, that's gonna need a lot of work.
Yeah, we actually have already, we've already put out a few requests for proposals, and we've gotten a few back.
All right.
We've gotten, I'm gonna roundabout without having them right in front of me. We've gotten as high as about 500,000 and as low as about 150,000. So just as a ballpark.
I know a lot of people
The track
use
that's
it.
out there is a walking track.
Yeah.
and
Yes, I know.
It's beyond its useful life at this point in time, so we talked about, is there any way we can patch it up at this point so that it's not a safety hazard, and that's the
But
problem.
that's the problem. This side of the track towards the varsity baseball field,
The way it was built-
somebody's gonna end up,
Right, we're more just gonna
spilling.
have to shut it down, is what the latest, because we just can't, they can't fix it, there's nothing to stick anything to make it,
You have to
more
redo it, is what
usable.
it comes down to.
so the
yeah,
price
it's
that
been
we
going
got
like
is
that
to
for the last
replace
couple
it.
of years, cause I usually sometimes I walk across that when I umpire baseball,
Yeah.
but, it is in bad shape.
But it was done a little over 10 years ago by donations, and it was just done with millings, and the base of it just doesn't have a lot that we can do to repair it.
Okay, I just
But-
figured I'd
Yeah,
bring it
we-
up, because if
We
you're
talked
gonna
about that
keep
in
using it,
facilities as
or
well,
you're
what to
gonna
do.
do something with it, it's
Yeah.
gonna have to be done soon.
Yeah, we're looking
Absolutely.
into it. That was one of the
Alright.
things we discussed in facilities as we move forward.
Anybody have anything else? I have one thing. I did, Mr. Roth had asked that we consider having a liaison to the town council from the board. It's normally the other way around, which Donnie happens to be now. I'll throw him out. I'll throw him right under the bus while I'm here.
And I'm still here too.
Yeah, I know, I see you out there.
Last week, I keep-
So I did go to the meeting in December that you couldn't go to. They did pass, on a side note, which is not why I went, they did pass that they entered into an agreement with the builder and the developer to continue and to do the development up on the top of the hill there. There's gonna be, I'll just throw this out so you all know the numbers, 75 two-bedrooms, 33 three-bedroom, 64, I think that says 64, 1 to 2 bedrooms, 42 two-bedrooms for a total of 214 units. They are predicting 14 kids. I'm no rocket scientist, but I would think that 14 is an extremely low number.
I would agree.
They have 140.
Well, let's do the, can I answer in general?
We close public participation.
You get another shot.
We might give you another shot, but let me finish. Not only are we gonna get some number of kids, 14 and/or greater, the deal that they entered into with the state of New Jersey because it's a redevelopment zone, is whatever the property taxes would normally be on that site, they're only gonna have to pay 60% of the property taxes. Of that 60%, the town is gonna get between 50 and 55% of those. The school district gets 0. The town can, if they're nice, give us 5%, is what the mayor said. So theoretically, we're gonna get kids with no funding. So we need to keep that in mind, which is one of the reasons why I think it's critical that we have this meeting and look at our prospects going forward, because if we get these students, Third Street's gonna be a problem. Or not having Third Street's gonna be a problem. What did I go there for again?
Well, that's why we kept it open.
That's why we kept it
We
occupied.
kept it
Can we go
open
back in there is my
We
other
can go back
question.
in there, yes.
Even with the ADH,
Mhm.
handicapped,
Yep.
okay.
Yes, we can.
So we can go back in there when?
We could go back in tomorrow if we wanted to.
We don't need to,
Move
so. let's not.
everybody back over.
Well, hold on, we're not moving everybody back over. We'd move over what we had to, but I would wait, I mean, the development's probably gonna start, I'm gonna guess, in the fall, the way they were talking. So they
Chances
have
are
to-
you're not gonna see the students for 3 to 5 years.
Right, so we have time to plan, and that
Yeah.
could be an addition if that's what we choose to do.
Yeah.
But we need to come up with a plan, so we're gonna need to sift that out. The other thing is, the student, or the school resource officer, we are currently being billed at $25 an hour. At the end of last school year, they should have upped our cost to $32 an hour, Shell. So they're gonna back bill us for the beginning of this year, is my understanding, for $32 an hour.
Without notice.
Theoretically, they said they notified you.
They did say that.
Via what?
They said that.
Probably the same email we didn't get about something else.
I had a conversation with Chief Scott about that, by the way, right after that meeting. Him and I are gonna sit down and talk about it. When we initially went into the agreement, just as a little bit of a background, we agreed to pay $27 an hour initially specifically for Officer Riley because he had so many certifications. And at that point, the agreement was if Officer Riley wasn't here and we were hiring a sub, which Mr. Snezler would love to tell you that when he wasn't here, we never had a sub, it was only going to be $25 an hour. So the jump from the 25 to the 32 is curious, I guess is the best way to say it, without any sort of notification. But I'll reach out, whether it's to the mayor, maybe Mr. Rutherford, maybe Mr. Mitchell now that he's on town council.
I'd reach out to Tom, that's his job.
Just to get an idea of the costs and if we can see some sort of paperwork that shows the substantial increase in that line.
The reason I did go was the $11,000 to put in, so they are gonna run a referendum question in the next November election and ask the taxpayers if they wanna bring back the April school budget approval election. If the taxpayers agree to do that, it'll be an $11,000 cost to the school district.
So we had a conversation about that yesterday. Shelley and I had our mid-year budget review at the county office, which is mostly just going through the budget. And Dr. Lamonte, who's also the county executive superintendent for Sussex County, had a similar case with Frieden. And I'm somewhat quoting Dr. Lamonte, who I think would be somewhat of an expert on this. She said the board in Frieden, school board, then just repassed a different motion to continue to have the board elections in November with the not voting on the thing. And right now, that is with the state it stands because of the things. So that is a possibility.
It may be different with a referendum, though.
Maybe different with a referendum, but at least.
Well, we'll have to investigate that.
Yeah, we'll have to investigate that, yeah.
I think that was all I got out of the meeting. It was a very informative meeting, let me tell you.
They usually are.
That was all I had.
Okay.
So the Third Street, where are we gonna where is that gonna be, in buildings and grounds? What committee's gonna be as far as planning?
Facilities.
Third Street.
Yeah, facilities. Finance and facilities, yeah.
Finance and facilities.
Finance and facilities, yeah.
Okay.
First, I think we need to, like I said, I think we need to have the directional meeting and determine if we want to bring Third Street, if the plan would be to
Well,
bring Third Street back.
I've always wanted that open and, kept open.
My understanding is that, and maybe Mr. Roth can talk to this when you come up, Joe, that now that everything is signed, there is going to be an impact study done?
Nothing signed.
Nothing signed,
Yeah,
okay.
and there won't be shovels in the ground by the fall. I hope it happens in my lifetime. So it still has to go through review processes. Not only the pilot, which has to go to the state and be approved, and then our board, the planning board will take another look at it. So there's a lot of things that are going on.
I just, as far as Third Street goes, I mean, I know some board members are in favor of, if we were to have an increase in enrollment, adding on to, the high school or the elementary school, and I just wanna reference how much the press box costs, a tiny little box. And whatever you think it's gonna cost 5 times more, and I know people think that, but we have a building, and again, we have to detail what exactly needs to be done to it to keep it up to par, but we have a building sitting there now, and it's gonna probably be more cost effective to utilize that building versus adding on and then having to jack everybody's taxes up.
Yeah. That's why we kept it open.
Yep.
That's why we occupy it. But I'm still keeping my office there, that's for sure. I'm not giving that up.
You're getting cut down if you're keeping your office.
No way.
Too big. All right, if nobody has anything else, we'll let Joe come up and,
Well, I just wanted to, and thank you for bringing that up. And thank you for coming to the meeting.
I'll be there Monday night, this coming Monday night.
We have a meeting Monday? Got to get prepared. I just wanted to talk a little bit about numbers and students and that sort of thing, because a lot of numbers get thrown around. And we got to be very, very careful about not inflaming the argument with exaggerations, gross or otherwise. The builder has spent a lot of money with experts to do this study to find out what the impact would be on the school as well as the county and the town, and did come up with numbers around 14 students based on the number of units going to be in here. But they didn't make that up. They have very sophisticated models that they use based on national data that kind of proves that out. And we had our own people that we've hired, experts, to review that for reasonableness, because we're going to be the ones that are going to have to pay for all of this or absorb whatever the impact is. And so we're not looking at it and saying it's going to be, it's not for 14 students, it's going to be 300. No, it's probably going to be some small number. But humor me for a minute. Let's do an exercise. How many students are in the school district right now? Total population?
Total
400?
population, you have just under 400 in the
All
high
right,
school.
so
and
let's say
close to
400.
300 in the elementary.
All right, 400. How many are residents of Belvidere?
In the high school?
You can do the whole thing if you'd like.
Well, let's just do the elementary, right? And
Yeah.
it says our present student enrollment is 275.
Yeah,
So there's
Under
about,
400 residents,
yeah.
just under 400 residents of Belvidere.
there's 400 students in the school.
Between the high school and the elementary.
Elementary and high school.
Yeah.
Just under 400 of them are from Belvidere,
Okay, and what's the total number?
around 700.
Around 700 students, all right? So maybe half, a little bit less than?
Yeah.
Less than half, okay. In Belvidere, we have 2,600 families, right? And so you have 2,600 families, how many students per family is that? What's the percentage? Come on, you're teachers.
I'm looking for the accountant to figure this
Yeah,
out.
come on. Come on,
How
Catherine.
many?
Well, you have 400 students, or 360 students, right, divided by 2,600 families, what's that?
Well, he's saying how many, of the 2,600 families, how many
Well,
students?
you told me how many students are residents of Belvidere,
Mhm.
right? Now divide that by 2,600 families.
About 20%,
It's under 20%, it's like 15, 18%.
yeah.
What was that?
Between 15 and 18%.
All right, times 213 units. So times 213 units, use that
Is it
percent.
213, is that what you said?
213.
213.
214, actually.
Yeah,
Well,
214.
10% would
Right,
be
but the
21.
difference is you're talking about 213, not senior housing, and how many
Oh,
houses in
no.
2,600
I'm looking
families are
I'm looking
senior.
at I'm looking at a simple relativity model based on what we're trying to
Pretty
do
broad.
with that development versus what the town
I
now
don't think it's a
has.
fair model,
We're
though,
gonna
because you're
have-
not looking at the same population.
Well, you don't know yet. The target cost of these homes is gonna be based on,
There's a mouse.
It's just little, that.
They're all looking at me.
See, stop bringing your dog, bring your cats.
So you're saying,
all I'm saying
So let's
is
say
that on a
15 to
relative
18.
basis, it's not that far off from what
talking-
these sophisticated models are showing.
you're
So-
looking at
so
25 to 30 students, based on your theories.
25, 30 students over 12 grades, over 8 or 10 years. All I'm saying is I don't think you need to be prepared to build major schools or anything else just because of what's going to be happening in there.
You mean build,
Well,
I
even
don't
if you
think
take
you'll be having
the
a big influx
15%,
of
that's
students.
33 kids.
Yeah.
You know, you're basing it on a larger population, but.
So, I just give you that for what it's worth, okay? But you are correct. The town gets 95% of the revenue. We have to give the county 5%. And then whatever we work out with you, it's not required by law, but
Right.
You
You'll
and the
only
mayor
give it
would
to us
talk
if you
about it.
deem we need it. And it's only
but
5%.
that's true. That part is true.
I know,
I'd
I'm
also
saying.
like to know, like, how, we just moved into Oxford Street, how, like, assess what the room, like, or do the teachers feel they have enough room? You know, like, an assessment of the current situation, because we moved here and I haven't heard much feedback on how it's going. Are we too crammed? Are people complaining? Are people happy? Like, so, I mean, obviously building in, you know, like I said, building onto this would be way too expensive, but if we have Third Street already, you know, so we need to look at that.
We need to look at this. It's definitely an investigation we have to
Yeah,
have.
and especially an assessment on on how it's going over here too,
I agree.
because we're sharing a lot with the high school, so.
Okay, anybody got anything else?
You went to that meeting, we
Yeah.
talked about the units. Are they apartments, or are they homes, or are they?
Most of
for
them are
sale?
homes,
So they're gonna be sold,
yes.
okay.
They're
'Cause
gonna
I
be
find it
sold, it's
hard-
gonna be like one of those communities where you pay your, you don't pay your taxes, you pay a fee to the homeowners association.
Yeah.
And the homeowners association will in turn pay the, I'm not gonna call it taxes on the property, because it's a fee on the property.
What about the apartment buildings? There's no apartment buildings approved for that?
No. Hmm.
Because
The
they,
Condominium and Homeowners Association.
We kept calling them flats,
Flats,
Yes, are they, so there's no apartments, so Joe, there's no apartments
yeah.
anymore?
Nope, they call them flats.
They're going to be townhomes, you know, like right out here as you go out of town.
Brookfield?
Yeah.
But
There's
there's
going to be a
no,
bunch of those. There's going to be several stacked unit townhomes.
To
And there's
keep
going to
more
be
stacked.
two buildings that'll be three-story in structure.
but no apartment rentals?
There may be in that one building that's a three-story, there may be 8 or 10.
They called those stacked units.
Yeah.
So only 8 to 10 apartments?
Something like that. Well, I have to look at the numbers, but that's going to be the smallest thing. We will require the ability to create homeowner association and the condominium associations to take over managing the property.
So like 90% is homeowner association?
Oh, yeah, or condominium association,
At least.
absolutely.
At least
Absolutely.
HOA.
And the individual owners of the property will pay, it won't be called a tax, but it will be a fee, which will come in and be collected as tax.
Okay, thank you.
All right, we all good? I guess that's it. Anything else you got? Okay, motion to adjourn?
I make a motion?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Any abstentions?
Watch out, Hammer. I'm gonna break it.
Nope.
Watch out about that.
Meeting adjourned.